Well, very good afternoon to you. Thanks for clicking on to the long range discussion. Mark Vogan here for first hand weather, and we have got lots of excitement. It's a pattern that's starting to evolve now. We're starting to see the signs there, and it's a pattern that I've been anticipating way back in the middle part of the summer. Now, basically what we're looking at is we're going to be seeing very cold air starting to filter and infiltrate westwards across the continent of Europe through the course of next week, folks. We have got lots of excitement to talk about. If you like cold and snow, believe me, the headlines are going to be grabbed next week across Europe as that frigid, brutally cold Arctic air that basically is going to flood Europe. There's no exaggeration here. The models are supporting this. And the reason being is, folks, I'm going to show you right here off the NCEP GFS Deterministic Arctic Oscillation Bias. And this is off Dr. Ryan Maui's site, polyclimate.com. You notice here, the trend has been, of course, positive in the early part of the winter. That has resulted in very mild temperatures across the hemisphere. But the tides have turned, folks. The rubber band snapped, and we're looking at, finally, a return to a more negative Arctic oscillation. We have seen some flirts with negative. That, of course, has resulted in very cold weather across parts of Asia. In fact, folks, across the northern hemisphere as a whole, Asia, Eastern Asia, has been more in the way of cold for the best part of the winter. North America has been catching up. We've seen plenty of cold air last week. They're seeing a brief warm-up. However, even like Europe, the temperatures are going to start to fall away yet again across the majority of North America. But like I show you, this, of course, is the NCEP deterministic forecast. You notice here the sharp drop in the Arctic oscillation. That will result in all that Arctic air pouring southwards from the pole. It's already doing so, folks. The reason being is we've seen that large and strong stratospheric warming event, of course, allowing the buckling to take place. Let's have a quick look also of the latest run of the North Atlantic Oscillation. I'm going to show you here the Canadian run. First of all, very quickly, notice again, like the Arctic Oscillation, been trending strongly positive. There's no reason why we don't understand why the pattern has been so mild, so warm. If you look at these charts, it tells the story very clearly. But you notice here, this is, like I say, the Canadian model. You see here the drop into the -1, flirting with -2 territory with this particular run. Looking also at the ECMWF, it has actually a stronger drop in the negative phase, and it continues to do so as we progress into the first and second week of February. You notice the downward trend in the North Atlantic Oscillation. That will allow the brutally cold air building over Europe to then migrate westwards as we start to see that blocking over the top of the continent. Now, I'm going to show you here off the I'm going to show you the upper level pattern of the ECMWF, the latest run, and I'm going to show you this, folks, because it is very interesting indeed. Now, of course, I'm continuously urging you, folks, do not look at each individual run. They will chop and change, probably, hundreds of times over the next 7 to 10 days. But the general trend we're looking for here is important. Now, you notice here a little vortex, an upper level vortex of low pressure here, sitting over the far east of Europe, basically where Europe meets Asia. That, folks, is what's going to start to expand, start to grow, and as well as that, it's actually going to start to pull in, wrap in that frigid Arctic air from Siberia. It's going to feed the reservoir of cold that will start to build over the continent of Europe. This is by Friday. You notice here the trough, large, deep across eastern parts of Europe. We're seeing already frigid cold across parts of the Ukraine, struggling to get above the -10 range in Kiev by day. Temperatures by night dropping below 0 Fahrenheit, -18 degrees. Folks, that is very cold weather by like January standards. The problem and the concern that I have is that, like I said to you, you've got this purple showing up, these blues starting to show up in this frame here on the map, and that is going to start to expand east. You notice here this little large vortex of cold starting to push its way southwestwards. Now, let's skip through the sequence here, in through next week. Notice how the blue, that's starting to expand. It's starting to push westwards. Look at that there. Wow. Very, very cool weather indeed. You can see that I'm getting excited. I've been waiting for this, like I say, since way back last summer. Look at how cold that air, folks, is. That is got to be the coldest temperatures we've seen in parts of Russia in decades, folks. Massive turnaround from what a warm start to the winter we've seen. Notice here, look at how it starts to extend. Europe starting to fill with very, very cold air. The headlines next week, not only we're going to be talking about potentially record-breaking temperatures in terms of cold next week, we're also likely to see big snowfalls start to break up through Poland, Germany, in towards the Low Countries by mid to late next week. And folks across the British Isles and Ireland need to start paying attention to these models. We have got a lot of winter weather coming over the course of the next 7 to 10 days. That could actually be the leading edge to a more dominant, very cold February pattern across the continent. Very interesting stuff indeed. By Saturday, notice how Europe remains cold. Folks, I think this and the severity of this cold will actually be underdone, and we'll be looking at temperatures across eastern, central and potentially western parts of Europe struggling to get to minus 10 Celsius over the course of mid to late next week. So the British Isles really must start to pay attention to this. There's no point in beating around the bush, so to speak. We have got plenty of very, very cold weather pushing westwards across the continent next week. I urge you to continue to pay attention to my analysis. I'll keep you updated as to what's happening, as well as that on the firsthandweather.com. And I'm going to be reporting. I'm one of their latest forecasters for Europe for that website. So I'm excited to deliver weather for Europe for first-hand weather. But continue to keep checking back. I'll keep you up to date. Have a great evening, folks. Bye-bye.